Well, right now we're going to turn to the fallout at the White House over the group chat on the app called Signal, in which top national security officials discussed highly sensitive military operations with a journalist who was mistakenly added on that app. The Atlantic magazine today publishing new messages that were part of that group text ahead of airstrikes in Yemen. The White House today says that they weren't war plans, and the White House called the story a hoax from the Atlantic's editor-in-chief, Jeffrey Goldberg, who you see there. He was added to that Signal group message by National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, who apparently thought he was adding someone else. Waltz says Elon Musk will now get involved to try to figure out how Goldberg's number was on his phone and how he was added to that group message. But what is Signal, and how concerned should we be about all of this? Kevin Cleary is a clinical assistant professor of management science and systems at the University at Buffalo's School of Management, and he joins us live tonight. Professor, it's great to get your insight on this. A lot of journalists use Signal because it's encrypted, right? It's not for classified stuff, but it is encrypted, and it's a good way to talk to people in sort of a secretive way. I've never used Signal. A lot of our viewers have never used it. What should we know about it?
Yeah, so, I think to a degree, Signal's kind of getting dragged through the mud here. And Signal is a very good app. It has two big strengths to it. One is it will support end-to-end encryption. And so, Michael, you and I could be having a conversation. And what that means is in transit, all that information is scrambled. And that anybody in between that's eavesdropping, that's wiretapping, that's listening to the radio waves, they can't reassemble that message. Signal is also really good in terms of the privacy features it has. And sometimes cybersecurity and privacy are not necessarily overlapping issues. But now where the concern comes into place is when we're talking about highly secure transactions. The in-between is only part of the equation. Being able to encrypt that message, being able to scramble it so that unauthorized parties can't view it, that's a good start. But what we also then need to consider is, well, we're viewing that message on the smart device itself, right? That's another state with which that messaging, that data exists. And therein is, from a cybersecurity perspective, therein is where my concern is what was the status of those endpoints, those smart devices, those desktops, those laptops? Signal can be supported on a multitude of form factors. What was the state of security on those devices? Because smart devices, unfortunately, are relatively soft targets. If a nation-state actor wants to gain a foothold on those and eavesdrop on what's going on, they can. Signal can only do so much. Signal can handle the encryption, but it's not necessarily going to handle the hardened state of the endpoint. And what remains to be seen is what kind of endpoints were those officials using? It's being reported right now that at least one official, Steve Witikoff, was using a personal endpoint, perhaps in a part of the world that is more subject to eavesdropping.
Yeah.
And so
in Russia, no less.
Yeah.
Let me ask you just quickly, what do you think are the chances, and will we ever know if a foreign adversary was able to get into those messages? We also don't know how ubiquitous this app was being used within the administration among top officials.
Yeah, so I want to answer both of those questions. So one, I don't think we'll ever know. Your second question is what has my blood pressure slightly elevated, which is, are we just viewing the tip of the iceberg with this? How many other types of sensitive things were being discussed over Signal where it hasn't come to light yet because at least the correct recipients were added to that group text. Yeah. In this case, Mike Waltz had an honest mistake that all of us do on a daily basis. Michael, just yesterday, I accidentally put somebody on a message that I made a mistake on, and fortunately it wasn't a national secret or national policy or anything like that. And so it's easy to make these mistakes. And the risk with using these apps is, like we said, the in transit, it's really secure. It's so easy with things like email, text messaging, Signal, WhatsApp, whatever, to just accidentally add the wrong person. And that's where these higher level DoD systems actually have that level of vetting and verification to make sure those kinds of mistakes don't happen.
Yeah, when you're talking about something as serious as an attack with our troops in harm's way. Professor Kevin Cleary from the University of Buffalo School of Management, thanks for your time, sir.
Thank you, Michael.